You're listening to The Recovery Switch, where victory lives, with Nicole Elizabeth Squires, only on LA Talk Radio.
Well, thank you for tuning in today to The Recovery Switch. We had a great time last week. I thank you for all you callers that called in and the responses I got for the subject of child abuse last week. Thank you to Watina. Let's keep that conversation going because we have had some situations happen with TLC and Aiton County. They're starting to reveal a lot of child abuse issues. So that's a topic that we need to keep on talking about. So today we have an amazing artist that I've been knowing for over 10 years now. He is one of the most awesome singers I know. When I say awesome singers, he sings from classical to R&B. I mean, he plays it back and forth. He's singing by the White House. He's singing on ovation, doing the anthem, national anthem at events. And he is just an incredible soul. So
I can't help but smile. You know, I'm like me? Okay, well, I'll take it. I'll take it today.
I'm so happy he's here with us today. We're going to talk about heart disease and weight loss and the different ups and downs that we have to go through as our body and minds evolve to become better. So today, Abraham, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Ms.
Welcome.
Nicole Elizabeth Squires. Brother Chuck.
All right.
So we go way back.
Thank you.
Yeah, we do.
And you've been doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a whole lot with your music. So you were on Oprah.
Mm-hmm.
Got a record deal, right?
I ended up signing with Def Jam after that.
Okay.
Great.
Came back to Oprah. Tell us a little bit of what you've been doing.
Well, of course, being a part of the Harpo family for whatever stint that I was interwoven into that particular lane was definitely life-changing. Mm-hmm. I liken it to just God picking you up and setting you over there and saying, okay, well, this is what you're doing now.
Right.
So at the time, what was really interesting about doing Oprah is that I had been relegated to the sideline. Prior to that, I was doing management and development and working with producers, and we had all this great clientele and all that good stuff. And I had a couple of artists I was representing, and I got to the point where I kind of felt like it's great that I'm sowing seed into other people, but what's happening with me? And as I continue to move in that train of thought, what's interesting is that the universe will begin to work with you. So the things that I held valuable, being general manager for Beats and Produce, which is an amazing company. Our clients were CeeLo, the Black Eyed Peas, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Great clientele, Fergie and all of that stuff. And then I was representing an artist named Hop at the time. Mm-hmm. And so I get this call from Hop one day and he says, God tells me I need to go on without you. And though I had met Jesus, I was like, this some bull. this some Jesus don't say. He would have told me if that's what he was saying. So that happened. And then Prince Board, who was, of course, principal over at Beats and Produce, was like, yo, I think your interests are somewhere else. And I don't think that you really want to be here. Mm-hmm. And so after I kind of took a 35-day sabbatical. I was kind of like in that, it was really interesting because now that we're talking about it all, in that space, I felt unworthy. I felt dark. I felt like maybe I had done something wrong. You know, everything that made sense to me, the artists I believed in, the producers I believed in, and wanting to work forward, all of a sudden none of it was working. Oh, wow. And I'm like, well, God, what is this? And being charged into that space, I had no choice but to look at me. One day I asked myself, what would you do for the rest of your life if you got nothing for it?
Wow. Yeah.
And the only thing I could come up with was sing, because I'm gonna need a check for everything else. Anything else,
true.
I'm gonna need a check for.
Absolutely.
But if I just show up if a friend called, and which I do still.
Right.
A friend calls and says, "Oh, it's my birthday." Well, that's a gift, and
you
a gift should be
definitely
given. You know. So I have no problem doing that. But I didn't understand the depth of that. I didn't understand that for me was God knocking on my heart, asking me, do you want what I have for you? So a lot of times when we're pushed out to the sidelines, we think that means we've been taken out of the game. And that was my thinking. Initially, my thinking was, there's no more Fortune 500 company, no big management, no position, because well, who was I going to say I was? Because as a man, you know, in that space, if you are at times defined heavily by your workforce, what you're doing for a living.
Absolutely.
And in that space, you mean I ain't got no job? Yeah, I'm saying? That's where I was with it. Like, I have no job, and not only do I have no job, but you don't want me.
Right.
Wow.
And that was the
Yeah.
place.
That rejection.
That rejection. And for me, being someone who's been in the music industry from the time I was 13, I understood rejection, but I understood more that I didn't want it anymore.
Yeah.
I didn't want to face that. And so I had spent a number of years in the background creating other people's lives, helping them to become, whether it was models, actors, performers. Really, I felt like God just made my tool belt more efficient by allowing me to do those things. But he brought it all to a halt. Nah, bruh, that's not your job.
Right.
Your job is not building other people.
Right.
That's great that you did that, but that actually built you while you were doing it.
Exactly.
Because your level of self-esteem grew.
Yeah.
Your level of self-worth grew. And so then by the time I dealt with the artist leaving and losing the job and the contracts and everything, I had no choice but to deal with what was really breaking me. And what was really breaking me was that I had no relationship with my father. I didn't know what that was. And so for a number of years, I put more time into working with men in the space of looking for being accepted and respected and not rejected. I wanted that feeling. So I would work for high-powered, high-energy male devos. I want to work for the guy who don't like nothing.
Wow.
He don't like nothing or nobody, right? But we were able to turn the perspective around.
Yeah.
That was my gift, and I felt like in that gift I was able to do something.
Right.
But God was challenging me to see me. Okay, that's great that you're able to do these things for these other people, but what are you doing for you? And we have to understand that what you do for you ultimately edifies the God you serve.
Say that again.
What you do for you ultimately edifies the God you serve.
Because you're walking in your purpose.
Because you're walking in your purpose, right? And what's hard about that, though, is that I've learned that not everybody serves Jehovah God. So their God may be money, their God may be cars, their God may be women, their God, and that's human, though.
So true.
It's human, and I wouldn't even. There was a time in my life where I would dare to say that was unfortunate. But how colorless would the world be if we didn't have those people around to remind us of what good is?
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
You need the balance. So after that space of being challenged, my sister comes to me and says, "Hey, well, that's great that you figured all that out, but you still ain't got no money. How you gonna get some money?"
Right.
So she signed me up, or she challenged me to do this karaoke contest, something that I didn't want to do. And what was really funny about it is that when I was 12 and a half, 13, my sisters who came to me and said, "Hey, I put you in this talent show at the Slauson Swap Meet."
Okay.
I was the shyest kid. I wouldn't talk to anybody. I wore a black jacket that turned gray. I had a red towel that turned pink. My mama took the towel. She said, "You got to give me the towel back." The towel done changed colors.
Wow.
You can't keep that. Cannot be your security. I was like Lioness from Peanuts.
Yeah.
But she said you can win $5,000. So of course I sat up real quick and was like, well,
Point in the direction.
hey, $5,000 could fix a lot of stuff. What is that? What did Angie Fisher say? $2,000 could save my life. Right.
That's what we're
So I felt the same way at the time.
Right.
So in that, I decided to go. It took me about 3 Long Islands to get up off, so I could get to the little parquet floor. But when I did, the only thing I remember is the feeling that I felt at 13. And I knew at that moment that I was singing for my life. I knew it.
Wait a minute. When you in front of Oprah?
No, we ain't made the Oprah boo-boo. Oprah was the byproduct. Oprah is the cookie or the cherry on top of deciding to live the dream.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Because most of us won't decide to live the dream. God can't bless you with more if you don't know how to manage the little you got. Right? So he's like, right now, all you have is the fact that you know how to sing. Let's see how much you want to sing.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's where that, if I got nothing, what would I do? Right? So I end up at this golf course singing this song, Superstar, by the incomparable Luther Vandross. And I felt like, once again, I felt like that 13-year-old boy who had arrived at Carnegie Hall. But at 13, I didn't even know what Carnegie Hall was. I just knew the feeling.
Right.
And that's how I could connect it as an adult man standing on that parquet floor. And I'm like, yo, it didn't matter to me that there were little, they had little tables and a little DJ man and all. I didn't see any of that. All I could see is what I really wanted, what had been planted in my belly, kind of, And so it turned out that my sister is just a good hustler because there was no $5,000 purse.
Oh, really?
But it turned out, guys, that I had just qualified for one of the largest karaoke contests in the country.
Amen.
Okay.
And so that night was the last night to qualify. And I did. And I went on to compete in LA Karaoke Fest. And that is how ultimately BB Winans saw me. BB Winans saw me. He was doing a little karaoke thing at the LA County Fair, and they invited me over. But what was interesting is when I was walking up to the Karaoke Fest, which was separate from BB Winans, this guy, he's like 5'7", white guy, says, Abraham McDonald? And I don't know him. So, look, I'm like, sir, we don't need no problems at the LA County Fair. We don't need them.
No.
But I say, yeah, all right. And he says, you're making a lot of noise over at Harpo. And it didn't register at the time. Harpo?
Right.
Well, hell, who's
Right.
Harpo? I don't even know Harpo.
Exactly.
But okay. I tell people, I love this story, not because it's my story, but I love this story because I tell people it's, you ever see that meme with the guy who's digging, he's digging, and then he quits, and the other guy on the other side of the rock is digging, and he takes one more swing and hits the gold?
Right.
That's what I likened it to. When they asked me to go sing for BB Winans, I went to look for him, but I couldn't find the stage. And so I went back to what I knew, which is that's human. We always tend to want to go back to what we know.
Right.
So I went back to the stage I knew. And so Manny Pacheco comes over and says, what are you doing here? You should be over there with BB Winans. And I say, well, I tried, man, but I couldn't find him. Like that. I left it at that. I couldn't find him. That was, hey. Right? And he says no. So he grabs somebody and has them take me. Right. Had I gone a few more steps to the right, I would have run into BB Winans.
Wow.
So that became my, that became my, the kind of my mantra for, my brain. Live your dreams like there's light as a feather.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Push your dreams as if there's light as a feather. Because if I had gone, because there was a heaviness kind of on me still, in the space of wanting to go to BB Winans. But what if I get over there and he's like, well, who are you? What are you doing here?
Right.
I dealt with that thought. I didn't tell
insecurities.
anybody. The insecurities were still there.
That's just a situation where we all go through this. We go through that. We both been in the entertainment business for all those years, and you're told to go meet baby who? Okay, I'm gonna go just walk up to BB Winans and sing. Yeah, right.
That's exactly how I was thinking. Like I said, have you heard BB Winans sing? He don't need nobody to sing for him. No. You know what I'm saying? That was my thinking. Like,
how do you do that?
How do you do that? But I took those a few more steps, and BB Winans actually invited me to sing.
Oh, wow.
Great.
And I sang, and afterwards he says, what was that? And I didn't know how to read his response.
Right.
It was kind of like,
is that good or is that bad?
yeah, and so I say, well, hell, I don't know, BB. I don't know, but it was fun. You know what I'm saying? That's all I got on it.
Yeah.
Long story short, 2 months later, I get a call that I missed. I missed the call. I go back and check the messages, and it was a lady named Julie from Harpo.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
And they called, and They said, Mr. McDonald, we messed up your audition tape. Now, mind you, I forgot I had never done an audition. I don't even know.
What?
The truth is, I'm excited because you're Julie from Harpo.
Right.
Right.
I don't know nothing about no audition tape.
You
I don't
didn't
know
submit
nothing
one?
No, I never submitted anything.
never
BB
done one, he
Winans
said.
is how they knew who I was.
Oh.
So that credit would go to him.
Right.
You know, Oprah Winfrey wouldn't know who I was if it weren't for that karaoke fest that carried me to BB Winans. And BB Winans said, "No, somebody need to hear this brother though. Somebody need to hear this."
Yeah.
He said to me, he said, "You know who Oprah is?" I said, "Well, in my head, she's my friend. We've never met. You know."
She's my best friend.
Yeah. And he says, "I have a feeling I'm going to be hearing a lot more from you. I just have a feeling." And a couple of months later, I ended up on the show. They told me I was auditioning. I wasn't auditioning for anything. When it was really funny, and there's actually a YouTube of it. I'm sitting in front of the screen doing my thing, and I see Oprah, and I turn to my sister Breeze. I'm like, "Oh, hey Breeze, Oprah's on the screen." But I'm thinking it's a picture. It's not real to me yet.
Right.
And I'm like, "Oh, Oprah's moving. She's gotten bigger." Like, because the screen gets
Right.
bigger, right? And I'm like, and I hear the audience, and I'm like, "Oh my God," you know what I'm saying?
You're going live.
My eyes jump up. I hear Abraham, and I'm like, "Oh my God, you're Oprah Winfrey." And she's like, "Yeah, I am." I'm like, "Okay."
What
You got
a
me.
moment.
It was an amazing moment, and
Wow.
it happened all so fast. I remember the super producer, Warren Campbell, said to me, he said, "Hold on, this is going to go fast."
Wow.
And it did. Doing those 2 weeks in Chicago prepared me for touring.
Oh, wow.
It prepared me for interviewing. Interviewing. It prepared me for what it was really like to really rehearse. Like you're going from the vocal coach to the studio, and from the studio you go in with the band, and from the band you go to dinner, and then we go to wardrobe. Then you go from wardrobe, and then you go back to rehearsal.
Oh, wow.
Then from back to rehearsal, then you make it back to the hotel to get you some hours of sleep, and then you get up at 3:00 in the morning and do it all over again. It was some serious. It laid such amazing groundwork
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, and it made me feel like I wasn't crazy. There's a space in entertainment, and for those who've gotten to travel to the astral planes, if you will, that space where you're able to look down and see what's really happening.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a space of, but having worked for Rob Lewis and Christina Aguilera, having worked for the Black Eyed Peas and Prince Board, that put me in a different likeness and what it should be like, what it should feel like. And so to go to the astral plane and look down,
Right.
and say, "Okay, yeah, so I'm not crazy. It is supposed to be like this. You are supposed to work this hard.
Right.
Who needs sleep when you really want to work?"
Right.
Quite a journey for you, right?
Absolutely, man. And going through that process of competing against those amazing, amazing talents, they all brought something different to the table. Anna Harris, Donnie Denny, they all brought something different. And the truth is, when they called my name, if you saw the shock on my face, it was there because I thought they were going to call Donnie.
Oh.
I had prepared myself for Donnie
lose the
Denny.
show.
Child.
You know, Bridget?
Child, guess who wasn't going to have mud on their face? I was like, "Oh, no, I'm prepared. All of these good things." Oprah was like, "Yeah, right. You couldn't just be so happy to be here."
Right.
I actually am.
Right.
Because I remember when God told me what I would do, and I laughed. I scoffed at the Creator. I had a dream, and in that dream, He showed me some things, and He shared with me some things, but I was helping everybody else when He did it. He showed me that a year before.
Wow.
And so for me, it was kind of, "God, you are almighty, but," you know what I'm saying? I'm doing nothing of the sort.
But you have a habit of doing that. When I first met you, you were doing that.
Yeah.
And I mean, you continued to go in this cycle for a long time where you didn't feel worthy. And you wasn't sure. And I'm like, "Why are you working in this little space right here? We need you to move into another space."
Yeah, you definitely always been a pusher. Get up and go sing. So that's nice that you want to help somebody.
Yeah.
But are you going to sing?
Are you going to walk in your purpose?
Right. I remember let me tell you, this is big, and I don't know if you remember this. This is how, because there are a lot of, come on now, I'm starting to have a little moment. I almost had a little tear moment. I'm not even going to lie. Because, Nicole, there are a lot of people in LA who say they believe, but none of them, they don't take the risk, they don't take the chance, and they don't make the push.
Right.
And I remember this is before Oprah, a couple of years before Oprah. I was excited. I called you and I'm like, I'm going to put this worship group together and I want Sharon and I want this person, I want that person to come sing with me and do this and do that. And you were excited with me and you let me get all that out and you said, that's great. But you know he called you and not them, right? What? What? Did you just crush my little worship group dreams? Because I couldn't argue with it. I was once again trying to put a protective shell around myself.
Right.
The truth is, and I'm learning it even more at 38 years old, and you have known me 10 years plus,
Right.
that he will finish his work in you.
Amen.
If you are connected. Now, I tell
Yes.
people the trick now is you got to be connected to him.
That's
You got
right.
to be connected to him. If you're connected to him, he's going to finish his work. He
Exactly.
says that I'm concerned about that which perfects you. And if he's concerned about it, that means he's actually concerned about what he said you were going to do.
Amen.
Not what you wanted to do.
Right.
Right.
Right? So in that space of me helping other people, producing runway shows, producing shows, all of that was great. And I get to see my kids on television shows and billboards and in magazines.
Right.
All of that's great. But none of that brought me anything.
No,
Except that was great.
that was great.
That was it.
That was great.
But what about you?
But what about me?
Right.
When it became my turn, I was immediately pushed into a seat. Like I said, it was light years. Right? I went from the guy who was just hanging out, helping kids and, managing people, to all of a sudden people want to talk to me. All of a sudden it mattered what I looked like.
You know how amazing God is?
And it's amazing. I wish he would give us more notice, though, because I'm like, here I am now, and I'm like, now I'm before millions of people.
Wow.
Right.
I'm not. This is not my local. You are now on an international stage.
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
Right.
And how do you feel? The truth is, I shielded myself with God, even in that process. I didn't. It's really interesting how people respond to your look, boo boo. Look, look. You didn't call me on the wrong day. The truth is, when God gives you, when he gives you a charge,
Yeah.
Yes.
he is only concerned about that charge.
Amen.
That is it.
Amen.
And in that space, people's feelings may get hurt.
Wow. Yeah.
They may. But let me tell you, one of the stories for me in the Bible that I still get a little tickled by when I think about my Creator. I said, you're a cold piece of work. when I don't know if that was Hagar who had Abraham's son. I don't know if that was Hagar. She had Abraham's son for Sarah.
Yeah.
Remember, Sarah couldn't
No, it
conceive at one
wasn't-
point.
Okay.
I can't remember what her name was.
Yeah, I can't
So
remember
those
either.
of you out there who are like pulling your Bible up, he don't know the word. You're right. He don't know where it's at, but he knows the gist of it.
Yeah.
What was funny to me is that Sarah is who commissioned, so to speak, Abraham sleeping with
Didn't I just
her
tell you the
servant.
story? I
Right?
just told them
He
that
commissioned
story.
her.
Yeah.
You told me I could sleep with that woman.
Right.
Right?
Yes. Right.
And then once she
That's
could
right.
conceive, Sarah was like, boo boo, she got to go. Right? She got to go and take your little seed with you. Take your little seed with you, right? And so I honestly, in my empathy, I'm
Yes.
like, Sarah, girl, you wrong. You were out of line. And look, Abraham knew
I
she was
thought the
wrong
same
too,
thing.
because Abraham was like, well, you tell her.
Right.
You created the situation.
Hello.
You tell her. Right? But I was still thinking God was going to jump in and like, yo, I got you though, right? And God said, let her go. Sarah's right.
Exactly.
Let her go. Let her go and let her take her son. Take the little seed too. Take your little seed too. Because
your
I ain't
seed
never
with
told
you.
none of y'all that was supposed to go happen.
Right.
Right? But in that space, what happened is we saw God's precision.
Yeah.
He says, son, no. I'll take care of that.
Right.
Right. And that's how we have to be when it comes to the dreams, the visions God gives us.
Right.
He says, I will take care of those on the sidelines, those who are on the skin of what's happening. But I need you to be the meat, and I need you to hold it together and push forward.
Yes.
And what happened in that is there are a lot of people who did get their feelings hurt.
Right.
There are a lot of people who felt like, yo, well, who are you now? Actually, I'm the same dude. I'm the same 6'8" macaroni and cheese making brother. That is still me. But I have to protect what he's blessing me with
Right.
now.
Right.
And a lot of times what happens with people, to a degree, is that we get it and then we give it all away.
But I'm glad that you're obedient because we all go through. I'm even going through this with the radio station because I have life coached people one-on-one. But to do the radio show, this is a whole new, I'm now in the front. I've always been in the back for years in San Diego, my own production company, a management company, managing Sharon, helping everybody along the way, right? But here I am now. It's time for me to, God commissioned me to get out there and, say a word to help and release some freedom upon people, make them recover, let them know they're not alone, they can move forward. And that's my purpose fully for the show. That's why I'm bringing on people who have recovered and can tell their story.
You may not know this, but that's been your purpose, period.
Yeah, man.
So all that he's done now is just giving you a platform to do it where you're seeing and you're able to reach more people. But it's really funny. Like, I was in the gym. I go to 24 Hour. But I was in the gym, and I come into the locker room, and this guy's like, you know Sharon Youngblood? I'm like, I said, you must be a singer.
Right.
I said, you're not from L.A. He says, no, I'm not. Right? He says, how do you know that? I said, you know Nicole? He's like, oh, my God. I love Nicole, right? He's like, I went to her birthday thing. I heard you sing and all this stuff, right?
Right.
And he's going through all that, right? But his focus was how much you loved on him. Now, Poe, I don't remember the baby's name, but what was important to him is how much you loved on him when he got to L.A. as if he were your seed. And there are so many of us, like you said, Abe, you've always been hiding. You've always been in that space. Well, that's the truth. I tell people all the time that, I used to run this show called Music Alive, and that's where I first heard Sharon Youngblood. And I was like, well, they done cracked the sky with this one. You know what I'm saying? That's a talented sister. But what happened was amazing to me with all that gift. And this shows you with people that who have a real heart and believe that your gift will make room for you.
Yeah.
Right.
I started doing background for Sharon, and
I remember that.
she wasn't okay with that. She was like, that's
No.
not enough.
No.
That's not enough. You go stand in the front.
Exactly.
You go sing a song. And I'm like, it's so interesting to have, people don't realize that you hold on to those things. That's the fuel that keeps you going. Right. It's those smaller moments that people can think, oh, Oprah. And I say, that's nice, but I can't call Oprah at 2 o'clock in the morning if something is going wrong. I can call Nicole, though. You know what I'm saying? I can call Sharon. I can pick up that phone and make some things like that happen. Now, that becomes, I tell people that it's all about the baton. My sister had a baton, and that baton was then passed to Oprah. And then Oprah passed the baton to L.A. Reid.
Right.
And L.A. Reid then passed the baton to Michelle Obama. And then Michelle Obama has passed the baton to Shimon Peres. You know what I'm saying? I look at it like that, like, this is not a race to be run against someone. But if God has given you vision, if he's told you what you're to accomplish, then you are against the clock, boo.
Yeah.
You're against the clock.
You are.
But it's not the clock you think it is. You think it's Jimmy, Timmy, and Wowo that's sitting next to you. And the truth is, God has put them on their own timers.
Right.
Like, no. Boo, you keep worrying about him and her, and they're not thinking about you.
Yeah.
I am, though.
Yeah.
I am thinking about you and what I've charged you to do. Right. Will you do it or not? Because if not, there's somebody waiting in the wings who will.
And that's why we have to be sensitive to the Spirit. We have to be like Sharon was. He's like, wait a minute, God is telling me you need to be up front. Like, you may see someone else and you're like, you're doing background work for me, but you need. Matter of fact, I think that was even done with Luther. Didn't they push him out?
Roberta Flack did that. Roberta Flack fired him, as a matter of fact.
Right.
Oh.
She fired him.
Yeah, she fired him.
Right, fired him, and then told him, now go do what you're supposed to do.
Right. and when you're a singer who's sure of himself and the Spirit of the Lord is within you, you have to know when it's the time to tell somebody, boo-boo, you need to go on and step out in the front. And you have to do that. This is your responsibility because, like you said, passing the baton. But, I'm blessed to hear your conversation and your spirit because the changes that has come over you is so dynamic. Yeah. It's so empowering. And later on, matter of fact, we're going to have a round table, and I want to invite you back for the round table. Because we're going to talk to a lot of kids in the music business that's coming here from out of town with the dream, and is doing it all wrong.
Oh, you don't want to get me started on that.
But we're going to get to that.
Yeah.
But you're here now. you kind of stunned me when we spoke the other day. And you told me about you having congenital heart failure.
Oh yeah, left ventricle cardiomyopathy and congestive heart failure.
And it kind of hurt my heart a little bit because I wasn't called along this period to come talk to you or pray with you. But that's okay. We won't talk about that now. But what we will talk about is the fact that this happened.
Yeah,
and
it
God
did.
has touched you and allowed you to recover because you could have been dead.
Right.
Absolutely.
And I would have been crushed because I wasn't called. But let's get back to you.
Yeah, so, in 2014, it was amazing how it all went down. We had just finished a show called Remembering Luther. Of course, people know the iconic Luther Vandross, and it was Grammy weekend, and it was such an amazing star-studded event. From Jennifer Lewis to Vivica Fox to well wishes from Gladys Knight and Patti LaBelle. It was an amazing, amazing accomplishment for me, not only as an artist, but as a producer. I produced the show as well. And,
Which you're a fantastic producer anyway. So.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And so here we are at a sold-out event, and the week of the show, I become the sickest I've been since I was maybe a teenager. I remember... You don't tell all your business, huh, Abe? Yeah, you might as well tell it. When I was a teenager, when I was around 18, I had a one-night stand. And after that one-night stand, I just so happened to catch the flu. But I thought all hell had broken loose. So I'm at my doctor's office like, woody, we need to figure out what's going on. He's ain't nothing wrong with you, boy. No, you just sick. You just have, it's your system has finally caught up and you're sick. So when this happened in 2014, I didn't even know I was as sick as I was. I recall getting ready to go to a rehearsal. I walked to my, not quite the front door, but you've been to my home, my old home. We'll talk about having to give the house up too. Because you either want to live or you want somewhere to live. Which one? You better pick and choose carefully. But I'm on my way out the door and I sit down at I'm in my kitchen island and I wake up 4 hours later.
Oh, wow.
Bag in hand and everything. Just knocked out with the bag. And I'm like, whoa, what is going on? I was like, I didn't even know I was sick.
Hey,
I didn't even know I was sick. I did rehearsals that week. For that Luther show, God's grace and whatever talent and abilities, out of all the rehearsals they had, the singers, the dancers, I was only at 3 of those rehearsals.
Oh, wow.
And those rehearsals I did literally lying on the stage on pillows with the microphone in my hand, and they danced and moved around me. I couldn't even move.
This is after you passed out.
No. This is after I passed out.
So you still went to rehearsal.
Child, we got to do what we got to do now. So because it's not the audience's business. This show is already sold out. Somebody got to sing something, and 9 times out of 10 they want to hear me because that's what was on the radio.
Right.
So I remember one night. Sitting in my family room, I had the fireplace on, the heater up to about 82, between 82 and 85, had on 2 pair of socks, sweats, underwear. I had on 2 T-shirts, a hoodie, this jacket, a fleece, one of these, and I was still shaking.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I was so cold. Honestly, I had never seen my mother scared before.
Oh.
But this one was, she was calling people.
her.
She was just calling. Yeah, somebody bring them
that's my
something.
baby. That's my baby.
She was like, yo, what is going down? She ended up mad at other producers. They should be here. No, they're where they're supposed to be. I'm homesick. They're running the show. But the night of the show, people didn't understand why I didn't do red carpet as long, because you have like all of these, like Niecy Nat, you have all of these people coming out to this show. And I did carpet for maybe 10 minutes. And the people who paid close attention saw how they brought me out and how they took me back in, because I was that ill. Now, let me tell you something. For a man that was sick, I've heard me sing, but I've never heard me sing like that. That night, I was on autopilot and he was in the driver's seat. I don't know how. Wow. I have no idea. After 3 standing ovations and pushing through, And it was such an amazing,
The Holy
amazing
Spirit
night.
just came in, huh?
Oh my God. I remember there was this one moment, I don't remember what song it was, but I'm standing in the middle of the stage. I'm like this. Right, I'm in full worship. The people don't even know. I'm actually having a moment in my head
Yes.
because I can't believe God has let this happen.
Right.
You really did it. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I mean, from Buster Akery, the staging and the lighting, and Tori Russell, this
Yes.
man directs some of the biggest shows around the country.
Right.
And he's flown in to do my show. You know what I'm saying? I just couldn't believe the amount of support. So I couldn't sit down.
Right.
I couldn't lay down and say I was sick. The truth is, if I had sat down, that would have given all those other babies a reason to quit.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, when you get blessed with the ability to stand in front, that responsibility is something huge. Janet don't get days off. I remember being in the studio with Christina Aguilera one day, and that baby's so little. I was like, if you pop
Isn't
her
it
hard enough, she
shocking?
gonna break.
Oh.
Pop her real hard, she gonna break in half. That baby's little. So, but I'm watching. They were doing her tour prep, and she's in there. She doing her thing. The choreographers there. We're there, of course. Musical director. All these people, and I had this thought. I said, if anything happens to that baby, we all up a creek. If anything happened to that baby, we all up a creek.
That's true.
Because you paying for everybody at this point.
That's true.
And those thoughts, they reverberate with me. Those things stay with me. So being in that situation, I had to keep going. But after I took, like, February was slow. No real, I kept going to the doctor. And the doctor told me, her exact words were, "You're just too fat."
Oh, yeah. I know
Yeah,
those
we
feelings,
definitely
yeah.
spoke to her
Yeah.
superiors. But I'm not gonna lie, I did laugh when she said it because I'm a little crazy, so it was kind of funny to me. I was just like,
Really?
oh,
Really?
oh,
Okay.
It's Tuesday, so we bold on Tuesdays. Oh, okay, yeah, I may be too fat. That could be what it is.
That could be.
But after more research, and finally, I got to the point where I couldn't walk from the end of this desk to that tripod without being completely
Shortness of breath.
Not shortness, damn near dead. Excuse my language.
Wow, that's serious.
It was that I had swollen up. My feet, I couldn't even get my feet in shoes. When I went into the hospital, they literally within 5 days took off 40 pounds of water.
Wow.
So what happened is with left
How did they
ventricle.
admitted you? How did they find it?
Oh, what happened
Before
is
we get to that.
I ended up calling my healthcare provider. And because I couldn't accept that I was just too fat. I'm like,
thank God.
I tell
it's
people
like you
this.
wasn't fat yesterday. It didn't happen last week. I've been here like this for a while.
Right. You can be fat or feel fat, but you can't do both at the
Right,
same time.
exactly.
Right. And I was like, boo, I don't mind being fat, but I feel fat. This is the problem.
Right.
That being out of breath and how I'm moving around and sluggish and slow and all of those things.
Which has never happened to you before.
Ever. If you've seen one of my shows, baby,
Yes.
you know look, give me
Yeah.
the whole stage.
Yeah,
We're going to
exactly.
wreck the whole stage.
I know this.
But I had a corner at that point.
You're like the little square. in the
Just
middle.
bring the stool out and just let me sit. That's where I was
Not
with it.
Brown.
But so I called the healthcare provider and she politely said, "Sir, I need you to get off the phone with me. And I need you to call the ambulance."
Wow.
Huh? Call the ambulance. All professionalism went out the call the ambulance. I'm like, is that Aunt Shirley? Like, who is that over there talking to me like this?
What happened? You described what was going on with you, how you were feeling at that
Yeah,
moment. and
I was
she,
feeling the palpitations in my chest.
Okay.
The steep breathing, like, you know what I'm saying?
You get shortness of breath.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that. You
it
gotta,
was sort of like laboring, right?
yeah,
Like
and
breathing.
then I had swollen, bro. When I tell you, I had water trapped on me. I could literally push my thigh together like this and create a block, and it would just stay there.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Pores
That's
were
tough.
wide
Sounds
open.
Sounds pretty.
Yeah, it's crazy. It was crazy.
Was
Wow,
it caused by
yeah.
high blood pressure?
Nope, it was caused by a virus, and we still don't know what virus attacked my heart. But a virus attacked my heart.
virus?
A virus.
Yeah.
I thought it was my weight. I thought all these things. And the doctor finally, once they did diagnose, I'd been hospitalized. They started the process of,
Right.
I was doing echocardiograms. And they did, not mammograms,
EKG.
EKGs, but then they
Yes.
also did the other one that you get when you're pregnant. What's a sonogram?
Sonogram.
They did to make sure I had no blood ultrasound
Right.
to make sure I had no blood clots in my legs or anything like that. And once they were able to clear those things, they then moved me to the California hospital.
Because usually high blood pressure causes it. I know with him, he went through a bout of heart heart disease. Well, his heart got enlarged, and it started with
High blood pressure.
So you're saying
No high
yours-
blood pressure.
So you see, that is something
No high
important.
cholesterol, none of it. Literally,
Wow.
let me
So
tell
none
you,
of that.
I'm blessed though, and a good brother of mine, he's doing well now. But same thing happened to him. Excuse me, around the same time.
Yeah.
He's younger than me. He played basketball. I mean, the brother fit. That's a beach jogging brother.
Right.
The more he jogged, the more weight he gained. He didn't understand it.
What?
Going back and forth to the doctor. What's happening? Turns out his entire heart was affected. So
By
they-
the same disease.
same disease, same virus.
Virus,
and,
I mean.
and he ended up. He was in the hospital literally up until November of this past year. So all year, remember, I went in. My bout started late January. I was out of the hospital by July.
Oh wow.
He was still he lived in the hospital almost the entire year, and they let him go home for a week. He was on what do they call it? Not a fake heart, but pretty much a fake heart.
Right.
They let him go home, and he was back in the hospital within a week, and so then they kept him for the next 5-6 months.
See, that's why I wanted to talk about what you went through, because African Americans are one of the number one race that is being affected by heart disease.
And
Yes.
heart disease, heart disease, high blood pressure, and diabetes.
Yeah.
Kidney
People
failure
don't
is
go.
prevalent. If you're driving around your neighborhoods nowadays, African American neighborhoods, you will see more growth spurts of dialysis centers than you will in other neighborhoods.
So
and
true.
that has so much to do with how we eat. So
Right.
all of that to say, yes, of course, my heart went out. I was, oh Lord, what is I'm going to do? But literally, that lasted maybe, God didn't even give me 10 minutes. That was crazy to me. I felt like now I wouldn't look. I felt like I deserved a little more time
Right.
to be in the space of woe was me. He said, "You ain't had time for that." By the time that doctor, she came in, it's like almost 2 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah.
to tell me you're going to be on 15 pills a day, and this, that, and the other, and whatever. And I'm like, whoa, lady, I just met you. What do you mean be on 15 pills a day? What are you talking about? And she goes on to explain everything to me. Of course, I'm human. There's something naturally that comes over you that wants to go to that place of despair.
Right.
But what happened instead is I got up out of the bed, I walked to the other side, and I hadn't walked around my room because they wouldn't allow me to walk.
Right.
I hadn't walked around my hospital room. But when I did, I walked to the other side of the bed, and I hadn't noticed. First of all, I didn't even know about California Hospital, but I hadn't noticed that my room was right across the street from Staples Center.
Oh wow.
And so I had this beautiful view of Staples Center, and I did not think it was by chance.
I
felt
know.
like that was God saying, "Yeah, you just got this news, but I need you to pay attention to what's ahead of you." That, I'm saying.
You gonna make me raise my hand up on that one.
And so I didn't get the opportunity. There was that, and then shortly after, today's day and age, we're married to our phones. I picked my phone up, and my godbrother's Facebook comes up on my phone, which it never happens. And there was this baby that was born limbless,
Oh, wow.
no arms, no legs. And I was like, yo, man, you better get your tail up, and
Right.
you have no, you know what I'm saying? Because that's all that baby's gonna know.
Right.
And if they don't start sowing good seed of you are this, you are strong, you can
Right.
accomplish anything. You can stand even if they can't see you standing.
Right,
You know what
exactly.
I'm saying? If you don't begin to sow that seed in that baby from the time you have this discovery, then they're ultimately going to end up in a terrible place mentally, spiritually.
Absolutely.
So I have another friend that he got shot in his back when he was maybe 12, 13. He's around my age now. And Brian is one of the most joy-filled individuals I have ever experienced in my life. A science somebody too, but
Isn't that amazing?
yeah. And he said, no, I don't have days of, God, I wish I could, or you know what I'm saying. He was like, I'm human, of course. Feel what I feel, but I've never had any regrets. He's like, no, I've been married, I've done this, I've done that, you know what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
it really becomes about how you tell yourself you're
It's your own
limited.
perspective upon yourself, your future, your life, your vision for yourself. It's what you think and how you're determined to move forward. And
Yeah.
that's important.
And the push you put behind that belief. So that happened. And while I was going through all of that, of course, my finances became disgruntled, to say the least. My finances were angry with me, baby.
Whoa.
They were like, yo, so you don't work no more, huh? Your mama told you don't work, you don't eat, so I guess you're not hungry then either. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh my God, I'm losing everything. I don't have anything. Wow. And at first I thought, oh my God, I have to give up my home. I'm losing. It's all about perspective. I'm losing my home because of this, and I can't work right now, and I can't do this. Like the doctors, they didn't even want me moving. They put me in a life vest. Wow. A life vest with 150 joules of electricity. And I had to wear it 24 hours a day. I was only allowed to take 10 to 15-minute showers. And anybody that know this chocolate, know I love a good shower. So that 10, 15-minute regulation, I was like, man, you killing me with that. Right. So I had to wear 150 joules of electricity every day just in case my heart stopped or the palpitations came back. And the chance of it shocking you were more likely than you could expect. So that became a part of my determination. I do not want to walk around able to look, you can plug into me instead of your light bill. I didn't like that idea. I didn't like that idea. And so it became, all right, well, Abe, okay, so you lost your home. No, you didn't lose up your home. You got free. It's what you did. God offered you some choices that you probably didn't know you needed to choose. Right. A lot of times we think we're losing something. Again, relegated to the sidelines means we're out of the game. No. Strategize now. That's what you do now. You take time to strategize. You figure out, okay, not just what is the vision, but what is he called first? Right. Because a lot of us, I know this one here, we have vision. Yeah. Right. So, boo-boo, if you let us, we'll be off, you know.
We're going to be in the sunshine.
Right. And so he's like, yo, no, I need you to do a couple of things first. And I'm like, well, what do you need me to do first? First, I need you to talk to me more. It wasn't even hard work. I need you to believe, and I need you to believe because I had, in that space of being relegated to the sideline, what do I think? Again, I go back to, well, you're unworthy. Well, maybe God didn't want this for you. Wow. Maybe this isn't for your life. Maybe this is what you think it's supposed to happen, and it's never going to happen. Right. I thought all of those things, and then I thought, shut the hell up. Who is that talking?
Right. Exactly.
Who is that? You don't even have time for that. Right. You don't have time for that. Right. You know what I'm saying? So my best friend, Patrick Brown, and his wife, they opened their door. My best friend said, well, where are you going? Where are you going to live? I was like, man, I'll be fine. Bruh, if you don't get over here. I said, wow, God. So I tell people, we all have this thing. When things are happening to us, we begin to spiral mentally, physically, sometimes spiritually. God says, look, I got you. But you won't see the miracle of fish in water unless you put a fish in water. Yes. And that's really simple, but it's huge. It is. Right? So even the people you call friend, you don't even get to see how much they're in your corner because you've never needed. Right. You've never been in the place where you know what I'm saying? You ain't been hungry. You've been feeding everybody else. Right. So now when you're hungry, you need Chris because Chris know how to find it because you ain't got it. Right. Or in the space of not having anywhere to live, Patrick stepping up and saying, no, there's a room for you here. Right. No. You'll be fine here. Don't you worry about anything. And then another friend of mine stepped up. I know where.
Yeah, but I want to tell about you losing 100.
Oh, and 60 pounds. Well, see, look. I guess we probably needed a 2-hour show.
We needed a 2-hour on you.
But yeah, so
we might have to bring you back on that.
In the process of all that, I had started my weight loss.
And the music.
Oh yeah, I do sing too.
Yeah, you do.
I had started in late 2012, 2013. I started a weight loss journey. At my highest weight, I was 515 pounds. And I had gotten, by the time I did Oprah, I was less than 515 pounds, but still in the 400s. Because I'm 6'8" in chocolate, I carry it well. People didn't know I was that weight. And somebody said, well, how did you know you were 515 pounds? Well, nobody has ever heard this story. But my mom had gotten sick. My mom has just different health issues. And she had gotten really sick and went into the hospital. And of course, I'm a mama's boy all day. All day. And I went to go see Moms. Yeah. And right outside her window, they had a step scale with the rails. It was the big scale.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm like, oh, no one's in this hallway. Let me see. You just push that button? Oh, and then you just step on? When that boo-boo, when that thing read 515 pounds, I almost hit the scale. I was about to whoop that scale tail. You better stop lying. You know what I'm saying? That's how I felt.
Yeah.
I was like, but
Because you don't see yourself in the mirror that way.
No, all I saw was 6'8" and chocolate. That's all I ever saw, right? And so now I'm like, oh, this is crazy. This is crazy. So to see that, when I went back in my mom's room, I had to keep on a straight face for her, but I felt like
But that's
crap
the most
inside.
crushing.
Right,
I know.
right.
Oh
Been
my
there.
God, my little spirit was so ripped apart. So
No, I know.
so then so after that I started working out at my home. I started that. I got to the place where I would hike. So I'm gonna hike more. I'm gonna do that. And so little by little, but I wasn't changing my diet. And then I met a guy named A.D. Dolphin. And A.D. ultimately helped to change my path. He owns a company called D Herbs, DHerbs.com. It's an amazing company. And he said, well, you wanna try this full body cleanse and see what that does? He said, but you got to stop doing everything you know to do it. I said, what do you mean? He said, you like fried chicken? I said, yeah. He said, you can't eat that. I said, well, what about boiled chicken? He said, you can't even have that. You know what I'm saying? The D Herbs Full Body Cleanse is a very strict cleanse. Now I found my own way to work it so that I'm great with it.
Right.
But when I saw myself lose 21 pounds in the first 15 days. Wow. And that's all because I changed my diet. People think that they go to the gym. If you go to the gym every day, you're gonna be lean and mean. No, you're not. You're just gonna be tired and in pain. What's going to happen, what you need to do is you need to attack that diet.
Yes.
And so that's how I live my life now. 85% of my diet is live food, fruit, vegetables.
Yes.
I find creative ways to do things. Raw tacos and shakes. I do shakes just about 7 days a week. Spinach shakes, kale shakes, and I put fruits and all kinds of stuff in them. But I have fun with it. I eat a lot of nuts and raw nuts. Not what happens. People don't understand is that when you cook food, you actually kill the nutrients.
Right.
That's when they say, they call it the Daniel fast. No, it wasn't a fast. That's just what they were eating. You know what I'm saying? It was like, no, we're going to eat the live food. We're going to eat what came from the earth.
Right.
As opposed to processing it and putting in bags and all of that stuff. So as I did that, I started to see the change, and then more weight dropped off, and then more weight dropped off. And then I began to work out with it.
Right.
So I'm 160 pounds down now. And so
You looked amazing. You
Thank
look
you.
amazing.
I'm trying to be hot like you, Nicole. I'm trying to be hot like you. You and Brother
You
Chop.
look amazing. No, I had to have you come and tell that story because I know your journey and how big you were and what you have done. This has been such a hard journey for you, and
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
so thankful to God that we didn't lose you.
Yes.
I'm
thank
so
God.
grateful.
I really
we
am.
I'm so grateful.
You really don't
Amazing
know the
singer.
love I have for you, and it's like
Yes.
to know that we could have lost you that quick, and this world
believe it.
may have not been blessed with that voice.
Yes.
Oh, that right there's a travesty.
They need to
because
hear that voice real quick if we
Can
can.
we put the play? Let's before we go, we'll play the music.
This is a song called Leave Me Dreaming that I wrote with a phenomenal top 10 artist in London named Lamar. The song is called Leave Me Dreaming. Let's hope I can make you dream about some chocolate tonight.
My heart is aching, I don't wanna get up. You're here in my dreams, right where I wanna be. I don't wanna see the sun. And we're telling each other love stories, no tears and no worries. Hand in hand, loving you, holding you close. Oh, every night I close my eyes, hoping that I'll see her again.
Because of the I love your song, and I want you to come back on because I'm going to do a health forum, and I want you to come tell your story. We have to hear his music in full effect. How can they get a hold of you?
You can find me wherever you find your fine chocolates. And you can definitely find me on iTunes, Abraham McDonald. You can find me on Facebook, Abraham McDonald. Def Jam, Abraham McDonald, Oprah.com, Abraham McDonald. Pretty much wherever you just type in Abraham McDonald and I will
On
come
YouTube,
up. YouTube, Abraham McDonald. But yeah, so now I'm headed back to the stage. So after a year off, I was just invited by the Times of Israel to honor the Honorable Shimon Peres, the former Prime Minister of Israel. Just got back from New York doing that. Just finished a play on the road with Tamara Hill, workplace drama.
The mic's on.
It's been amazing. And now I'm headed back into the studio. So we're back in the studio. We got some new music hitting the airwaves. We expect the summer to be good. I'll be on stage in Los Angeles July 4th at the Coliseum. I'll be with Councilman Curran Price, but I'll be out there performing. Let him politic, and I'll be out there singing.
All right.
right.
Well, that's where you can find Abraham from for the next few months.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. So please support him. He's amazing. And I want to thank everyone for tuning in today, listening to our show. Next week, we will have more empowerment shows to bless your soul. And you guys have a good night. Thank you for
you.
coming to the Recovery Switch.
Thank you for having me.
You're listening to The Recovery Switch, where victory lives with Nicole Elizabeth Squires, only on LA Talk Radio.